Out of all the arguments people make against AI, the one I'm probably least likely to dispute is that it's effortless. They just click a button and get it to do all the work for you. Because, I mean, it is a big part of why it appeals to me personally, as someone who mainly cares about my vision actually being realized and existing in reality, rather than the process of making it exist or having put enough blood, sweat, and tears into it to be able to say how much of a hard worker I am. I reject the premise that art requires pain. Like, yes, I am lazy, and my ideal method of creation is, in fact, being able to just press a button and having an entire ass film or anime or game in front of me that perfectly matches what I wanted. One of the things I learned trying to make an AI short film is that current AI is not that. I mean, I already knew that in the abstract, but it's quite another thing to actually experience for yourself the particular messes and stuff AI brings to the table that you have to work around. I stand by my belief that my short film Project Omela would have been just as meaningful without grappling with those methodological frustrations, but it does make for some interesting stories to tell, like as a separate thing. I've had the characters Alana, Dolly, and Seth for a long time. They're from Bitwam, although only Seth and Alana have shown up so far and only barely. Anyway, I was getting LLMs to write stories about them for funsies, and at some point it came up with the idea that Dolly was part of this government conspiracy where they experiment on people psychologically. So I went down that route and it took me to a few different places. I kept loose track of the material it gave me, figuring I could use it for a short story contest. Though at the time I was imagining it would be a webcomic contest like the webtoon call to action contest which I entered in 2022. I guess it never occurred to me that it would end up being an AI video contest. Though calling it Project Omela was my idea, since I was inspired by the short story Those Who Walked Away from Omelas by Ursula K. Le Guin, and wanted the titular project to be based around the twisted version of that story where the child is framed as a hero rather than a victim. Anyways, taking the material I catalogued, I had to prune it down to something that might fit in a 15-minute time frame, yet still have a coherent narrative that flows well, which I decided it will suffice to cover these following points. How Alana found out about Project Omela, it's kind of hand-waved, but I think the package connection is probably enough. An establishing character moment for Dolly, the funnest way for Omela's purpose to be explained, and a flashback to establish why it's called Project Omela, and connecting it with the ones who walked away from Omelas. And a holy crap, the villains have a point moment. I very deliberately ended it with a remark by Seth, wondering how the audience would interpret that, given his one previous scene where he plays any substantial role. So I dug through old chat logs to help with how to write the actual scenes. For instance, a scene that describes Project Omela's purpose, or that scene where Dolly talks about how it's not so different to what society does anyway, or a scene where Dolly watches the video where the contents of the video are displayed. The generated scenes I dug up don't have to be in the exact context I want in the story, and often, if they are, they don't flow the way I want them to and are too wordy to use safely in the 15-minute short film. But I often find lines I like littered through many variations of the scenes, which I kind of stitch together in a way that flows how I want it to. Sometimes I use my own words, or if nothing comes to me, I generate more scenes and see if it comes up with something I like. Sometimes it inspires me to tweak the scene and make it flow in a different way with a different order of ideas. For instance, how to lead into Dr. Kim's villain monologue. Honestly, I was mainly interested in this contest because I wanted to work with speech-to-speech, and Project Odyssey was offering a free trial of the basic 11 Labs subscription. I tried 11 Labs before, but the free account didn't work because there were multiple free accounts in my area, so they restricted my usage as a failsafe against the possibility that I was a sock puppet, I think. I didn't want to pay the subscription to get around that, but if I entered Project Odyssey I wouldn't have to, so here I am. So I kind of converted the lines as I recorded them. It's definitely dangerous to record everything in advance assuming it will all convert the way you want it to. The AI sometimes slurs words, mispronounces words, gives it a different intonation that you weren't trying to deliver in your original recording. It just kind of sometimes does stuff. and it's sometimes a struggle to strike a balance between enunciating it clearly enough for the AI to handle while also preserving the emotion and flow of the acting. So in my final finished film, there are definitely a few lines that aren't quite pronounced right, but in my opinion that's just the limitations of the tech at this point. Regenerating it until it's perfect is a futile dilemma. Embrace the jank, I say. The AI also can't handle emotions that stray too far from clear speaking tone, like full-on sobbing and whimpering, or low whispering lines spat out between gritted teeth with barely contained seething rage. Sometimes it messes up things that I thought would be simple, like an excited, "Oh hey, we're home." And I ended up editing my script in a few places to accommodate what the AI can handle. I can tone down the melodrama, I suppose. I think trying to voice act in this kind of way really helped me enunciate things more clearly and with more emotion and emphasis. And I realized voice acting is more tiring than I thought. Like, how hard could reading a 15-minute script be? It's harder than you think. And I had fun delivering Dr. Kim's villainous monologue. It's pretty cheesy and dramatic, but it was fun. I wanted to fix some delivery of lines while I was putting things together, but for some reason 11 Labs stopped letting me do speech-to-speech with Dr. Kim's voice, which is annoying, so I just gotta stick with what I got. I've been playing around with Suno and Udio long before this competition, and I put on the generations as stuff to listen to while drawing. So when coming up with this short film, stuff just kind of naturally started playing in the back of my head during certain scenes. So I didn't really go out of my way to generate music for this short film. This one was a failed audio generation where I gave it lyrics, but it didn't include the goddamn lyrics, probably because I wrote too many for a 32-second generation. This flashback song has lyrics in Gaussian, a fictional language from an unrelated fantasy series I have in the works. And the ending credits theme is Suno's take on a song I wrote without AI. I just wanted to see what would happen when I plugged in the lyrics and tried to prompt it with similar vibes to my original song. But yeah, none of them were generated for Project Amela, they all existed beforehand, and I just thought they fit. From what I can see, AI video generation doesn't play very well with drawn 2D kind of art styles. I feel like it's too smooth, it doesn't have that choppiness of like when you draw things frame by frame, and also when it gets all gloopy it's more obvious, unlike with realism or like, well, I guess 2D art styles that are lineless and like more rendered looking are more fine, but like the way my art style is pretty like obvious there's a line art. Also, lip syncing programs didn't really want to work with my style. It seems to work much better with realism. Also, if it's an illustrated style, I'd feel the need to make them exactly accurate, like exactly consistent from frame to frame. Like, inconsistency in characters is always kind of like immersion breaking, but I think it's less bad with live action characters, especially if you're kind of face blind like me. But with illustrated styles, like it is obvious if the characters are inconsistent, I think. So I decided to forego trying to make it an anime with my style and just decided to go with a weird live-action adaptation, so to speak. And like all weird live-action adaptations, the characters don't look quite accurate to the source material, and they just kind of focus more on capturing the spirit of the characters with their designs. Plus it fits with the cheesy melodramatic AI-generated lines and my amateur voice acting. Another reason why I decided to give live-action kind of style a try is because photorealism is something I can't draw. Even realistic styles have that drawn quality to them, so using AI to do things I actually can't do myself is more interesting in my opinion than just trying to use it to do more of what I could already do. Also, that way people can't go, why don't you just make a real animation? Like, bitch, show me literally anyone who's made a photorealistic live action animation by drawing every frame with their own two hands. Oh yeah, about character consistency. Yeah, everyone talks about character consistency, but no one mentions location consistency. You kind of have to use sleight of hand to gaslight the viewer into thinking they're in the same place from shot to shot. I wonder how much I can get away with. I guess as long as the couch is green and the table is wooden, it's fine, right? The viewer's attention will be too focused on the action to realize the couch was against the wall and not a window, and the table was not a polished burgundy, right? I guess that, and also like lighting conditions, which I feel like I did screw up in a few places. It kind of, when the shot transitioned to something that's apparently the same character, it still looks a bit jank because the lighting is kind of different. Oh well. Anyway, I guess people mostly talk about character consistency because this is harder to do with characters for obvious reasons. They're the focus of the scene. About the only time you can get away with it is if it's some very fast, chaotic, hard to follow action and I can speed up the clip to make it very short. As long as like the outfit is roughly accurate, it's probably fine, as long as everyone has very different looking outfits like in this film. Having almost the whole thing take place in the same space is hard mode in my opinion. If you want to have an easy time, set your AI film in a forest or something. But you can usually improve your scene consistency by playing stuff backwards, changing speeds, flipping the video around. Working in a live action style is actually pretty frustrating. I can't get it to give me what I want all the time, and since I can't draw in a photorealistic style, I can't just draw over it and make it look consistent. There's a bit of an AI user to artist pipeline where people start picking up drawing because they get frustrated with the lack of control that comes with AI. This is what I'm feeling working with this photorealistic style that's incompatible with what I'm able to draw. I can only make minor tweaks at best. I can't like add in an element that's been missing. Characters are especially in danger of being inconsistent when they're far away or if there are multiple of them in a frame, inclusive or. If I had more time and patience, I could have probably made at least the close-up shots really consistent with the tools available, but I bet I still have trouble with the other ones. Fortunately, with a small cast and a story that takes place in a single day, I can make the character designs distinctive in a rather tropey way with limited wardrobes and everything. Like, no doctor working for a shady government conspiracy is going to walk around the neighborhood in a lab coat. But that way people would at least know who everyone is supposed to be. If, say, Dolly's face gets messed up, you're not going to mistake her for some other blonde in a pink sundress, because there isn't one. A lot of the video generators really want to make my characters talk. I can get them to shut up somewhat by plugging them into a lip sync tool and using as the audio. And there was one scene where I want Dolly to be just looking at the phone, holding it and crying, but they really want to make her scroll and type on the phone. Didn't really know how to fix that much. Just went with the least typey looking one, I suppose. All in all, I have no idea if this film makes sense or not. 1 month is not a very long time to make a 14-minute short film as a one-person team, even with AI. There was no time for proofreading, just gotta move fast, break things, embrace the jank.